Today I want to talk to you about the first party / published games by the big three console manufacturers as of today in February that are slated for release in 2024. So right now, Sony, Nintendo, and Microsoft all have a lineup of games that are due to be out in 2024. And today was supposed to be the Pokemon Presents for Nintendo, so I was waiting for that to happen before I made this video in anticipation of there possibly being a game announced there that would be releasing in 2024, but that did not happen. The only real console game announced at that presentation was Pokemon Legends Z through A, which is not coming until 2025. So at this point in time, at the end of February, these are the lineups for the big three console manufacturers and their first-party games that are set for release in 2024. Now, of course, there will be more games announced for each of these companies, probably, and not all of these games are guaranteed to even come out in 2024. Concord is a big question mark. But for right now, all of these games are announced and they are all officially planned for 2024. And so today I want to talk about these lineups and what I think this means for the industry in this year. So we are not going to start at the top. We are going to start in the middle with Nintendo, just because there is obviously a big situation with them that I think a lot of us are aware of, but I still want to go over their current first-party lineup. So, for Nintendo, we've got 6 games announced right now. We've got Another Code, A Recollection, Mario vs. Donkey Kong, both of which are already out. Then after that, we've got Princess Peach Showtime coming in March, Endless Ocean Luminous coming in May, then Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, which is coming in summer of this year, and finally, Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door Remake, which has no release window, but it is slated for 2024. So, overall, this lineup is obviously pretty scarce compared to the amazing lineup we had last year for Nintendo. Last year, we had just tons of huge games. We had Fire Emblem Engage, Tears of the Kingdom, Pikmin 4, Mario RPG Remake, and Mario Wonder, among many other games. And so, compared to that, this lineup is definitely a lot lighter. Now, it's not to say that these games are bad or that I'm not excited for them. I'm excited for lots of these games, especially Paper Mario. That is going to be a big highlight for me. But I think we should agree that for a big majority of people, this is not the most impressive lineup. You know, we don't have any of the major series. We don't have any mainline Mario, mainline Zelda. We don't have anything from even Pokemon. So those are basically like the 3 big Nintendo series. Of course, we do have, the Mario spin-offs, 4 of them, in fact. But none of these are mainline. These are all just spin-offs. And yeah, they'll be a lot of fun, and a lot of people are going to enjoy them, but they are not the big heavy hitters that we like to see from Nintendo. And so we've basically got 6 pretty small games, and of course, Paper Mario: Thousand Year Door and Princess Peach Showtime are considerably bigger, but they're still pretty far away from, AAA blockbusters that we like to see from Nintendo. And I know you're all just waiting for me to say it, but yes, the reason for this most likely is because Nintendo is preparing to launch their next system. Even though there are reports coming out that their next system will not be out until March of 2025. And so, the thing is, even though a lot of us hardcore fans and us who keep up with Nintendo news, we're not too concerned about this. We pretty much all figure that, yes, this is a light lineup, but it's because they are saving their big new games, their big AAA efforts for the next system, and that's why we're not getting much here at the end of the Switch's lifespan. And that would be fine. The thing is, Nintendo still has not announced the next system. They have not said anything about it. And so, while yes, us who keep up with Nintendo news might not be concerned. There are definitely lots of people who are not into these smaller spin-off games, who are not into Princess Peach, who are not into Paper Mario, who are kind of just like at a loss for what is going on. Because, yes, it would be fine if this was the lineup if we knew that another system was coming. If we had confirmation of another system, then no one would ever complain about this. But we do see a lot of people sort of frustrated at Nintendo's lineup, just consisting of remakes and some very, and some games that are aimed at a not as large audience, like Princess Peach, which is aimed at mainly children, and Endless Ocean, which is a scuba diving game, which is aimed at, people who just want to have a relaxing time. So definitely not for everyone. But, the thing is, we can accept that, yes, the reason for this is because there's another system coming. But until that system is actually announced, we're all just guessing at that. We don't know how long we're gonna go with just having these tiny games and not knowing what's really happening with Nintendo software lineup until they do eventually announce the next console. And I think once they do, it's going to be very exciting. We're definitely going to get some amazing games revealed alongside the next system. The next system is going to have around PS4 level power, and I know a lot of people think that that's underwhelming, but come on, you need to look at some of the games that came out on PS4 hardware, games like Red Dead Redemption 2, God of War Ragnarok, Ghost of Tsushima, games like that, which were running on the PS4 hardware from 2013 and managed to look so good that they still are more impressive than a lot of games coming out on the PS5 today. So, the thing is about this next generation, I feel that Nintendo is definitely going to close the power gap between them and PlayStation and Xbox, just because the cross-generation period from PS4 to PS5 has taken so long, and these new consoles, it's so hard for pretty much any developer to actually make a game which fully utilizes the extra power of these systems. You gotta realize, most of the PS5 and Xbox Series X games coming out today are really just PS4 level games that use the extra power as a crutch. Like, we've seen this a lot, where it's like, you see a PS5 game which runs terribly, but then you put in like a PS4 game which looks better, and it runs at a perfect 4K 60. These consoles, PS5 and Xbox Series X, they are very powerful. They are so powerful that, pretty much no one, except for the richest companies, and who spend lots of time making, these huge games, are actually able to make games that are so big that they can't run on the PS4. And so, once the next Nintendo system is out, we are going to see lots of games coming out, which are also coming out on PS5 and Xbox Series X, and the other way around, and which look very comparable to the current generation of systems. I think the power gap is going to get a lot closer, and it's very exciting to think of what series like Mario, like Zelda, like Metroid, Pokemon, Fire Emblem, Xenoblade could look using this PS4 level power, because there are some amazing looking games on the PS4 that, again, still outclass pretty much everything that's coming out on PS5. And I think that with Nintendo taking so long to develop these new games for the next system, games like the next 3D Mario, the next Mario Kart, the series that have not had a new entry in 7 years, we can pretty much guess that Nintendo has been working on these new games, like the next Mario Kart. They've probably been working on that game since pretty much Mario Kart 8 came out. They've been working on these games for, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. And so I really think that once the next system comes out and we see PS4 level hardware, Nintendo is going to really push that hardware from the get-go. And we're going to see, not just like a basic PS4 level, we are going to see high-end PS4 level graphics. We're not going to see stuff like in like Knack or games like that. We are going to see games that rival games like God of War and Tales of Arise and Final Fantasy VII Remake. That's the kind of graphics we're going to see. And it's very exciting to think of what Nintendo will do with that hardware. And going back to what this video is about, until that happens, we've got a light lineup, some very good games. They'll be very fun, and a lot of people enjoy them. But it can be frustrating for a lot of people to just have this lineup and not have a confirmed reason for this. Because let's think about this. If this was Nintendo's lineup like in any other year, like if this was their lineup for like 2020, we would be like, oh my god, this is a disaster, what's going on? But now, because we think that a new system is coming, we're like, oh, it's okay. Except they haven't announced a new system. So for people who don't keep up with the news about Nintendo, they've got no idea what's going on. And so yeah, I'm hoping that Nintendo will reveal their next system soon, and so we can all rest easy and have that confirmation of what's coming, and just be able to be excited for the future of Nintendo. Because right now it's a lot of guesswork and just a few games that can be really exciting but are definitely not appealing to everyone. But after we're done with that, now let's move on to the top, which is Sony and the PlayStation 5. And so the lineup right now is The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, Helldivers 2, which are both already out. Then next month we've got MLB The Show 24, Rise of the Ronin, which is a game by Team Ninja Koei Tecmo, which is being published by Sony. Same with Stellar Blade, a game from Shift Up, which is also being published by Sony. So it's technically not first party, but for the purposes of this, I'm saying games that are being published by these companies. Those count. They're not technically first party, but Sony is publishing them, so I'm including them here just to talk about, what these companies are putting out in totality. And then we've got Until Dawn, the remaster by Ballistic Moon, and then Concord, which is, their sci-fi live service game that was announced last year. And of course, there is also, their releases on outside the PS5, like we've got Horizon Forbidden West is coming to PC this year. But, we're not going to worry about that. We're talking about new games being put out on these consoles. And so, The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, obviously it was a very frustrating release for a lot of people because, Last of Us Part 2 came out in 2020, and the visuals barely changed at all. But, just from my opinion, yes, the title is pretty bad, Remastered. It should not have been called Remastered because it's not a remaster. They really should have just called it Definitive Edition or Game of the Year Edition or Director's Cut, like they like to do. Because that's really what it is. It's not a remaster, it's just a enhanced version for the PS5 that adds some features that the PS4 can't do, like high frame rate mode, haptic feedback, 3D audio, and it adds some new content like a roguelike mode and new levels. And so I'm not too offended by this release, but it is understandable how a lot of people can be frustrated by this. Even though if we're looking at it realistically, Naughty Dog's last new game was in 2020, which is more recent than a lot of other AAA developers. Like Rockstar, their last new game was in 2018 with Red Dead Redemption 2. Then you've got companies like id Software. Their last game, Doom Eternal, was also in 2020, and they've not released anything since, whereas Naughty Dog is releasing a lot of remasters, which I think we all know don't really take away from AAA game development, but also they have their live service game canceled, and so, it's not doing... There are definitely some problems at Naughty Dog, but I think people are over-exaggerating and not looking at, the reality of the situation. I think they're probably a bit away from revealing a new game, but I think their studio is definitely still in good hands, and once we actually finally do see a new game and not just these remasters that they're putting out to sort of kill time, then we will be excited about Naughty Dog again. Then we got Helldivers 2, obviously a breakout success. Lots of people playing it, lots of people enjoying it, both on PS5 and on PC. This was their first game to launch on both on the same day, and so that's been a big success. Then MLB The Show 24, that's a yearly release. and that will also be coming to the other consoles. Rise of the Ronin is a third-party published exclusive by Team Ninja. This open-world samurai game, going to be really fun. Stellar Blade, I know a lot of people are excited for this, and I want to be as well. The thing is, yes, it looks good, it looks very stylish, but it's still, the developers shift up. They've only ever made mobile games. So, yes, this is their first AAA game. And yes, it might be good. In fact, I hope it's good. I want it to be good because it would be really cool. But still, I would not go with blind excitement because this is their first game that is AAA and not a mobile game. And so you should temper your expectations. It's okay to be excited, but don't be blind to the reality of the situation. Then there's Until Dawn, the remaster, which is, it's fine. It's coming to PC as well. And the thing is about this is that a number of years ago, we did see leaks that Ballistic Moon, the studio, they were leaked as developing a new horror game for PlayStation Studios. And since nobody had ever heard of these people before, Ballistic Moon, no one had ever heard of them, we all assumed that, this is going to be a new IP by a new studio. But now we know that it's not, and it's just a remaster of Until Dawn, and that's very disappointing, pretty frustrating, but I think it's fine. If they want to do that, then oh well. Then Concord, we know absolutely nothing about it. It's another live service game, and so we don't even know if it's ever going to come out, but yeah, that's another one coming to PS5 and PC. And so this lineup, not too much here. Obviously, Helldivers 2 has been a big success. Then we've got some great exclusives like Rise of the Ronin and Stellar Blade, if those two do end up delivering. But a sort of misconception that's going around right now is that this is it and that there won't be any more games for the year. And they are getting that from a statement made by Sony. But what that statement really says is that there will be no more new major existing AAA IP games for this year, which just means that there won't be games like another God of War or Spider-Man or any major existing IP. It doesn't mean there won't be any more new games. It doesn't mean there won't be any new IPs or that there won't be any more AAA games. So far, we have had rumors that there will be a new Astrobot game coming out this year, and also rumors that there will be a God of War remastered trilogy, which is an existing IP, I know, but it's not exactly a major new release, so I think that can slip past the confirmation by Sony. And so, yeah, a lot of people are taking what's being said about Sony in the out of context, and I think the games we have right now are pretty decent. I think it's definitely already better than 2023, where they only released 4 games, those being Horizon Call of the Mountain, that one first-person shooter on PSVR 2, I don't even remember what it's called. I think it's called like Fireteam Elite or something like that. Firewall Ultra. Yes, that was the one. Then they released MLB The Show 23, and Spider-Man 2 was their only AAA release, and that was it. And yeah, last year was very disappointing for people who are fans of Sony like myself. And yes, there were other games like Final Fantasy 16, but if you're buying a PS5 to play Sony first-party games, then that was very disappointing. And this year is already looking up. We've got 7 games so far. And of course, Concord might not come out this year. It might get canceled because Sony is canceling a lot of their live service games. But I think we can be optimistic that there will be a few more games announced this year, like Astrobot, like God of War, remastered. And, there could be some other things. For example, Blue Point Games, their last game was in 2020, 4 years ago. Even if we're going off these new, really long AAA development cycles, after 4 years, you would have to think that 5 or 6 years is like the maximum that a studio like that would take. So, like 4 years, it could probably be time for them to reveal something. Same with Bend Studio. Their last game, Days Gone, was in 2019, so it'll have been 5 years since they have released anything, so it should be time for them to show off something. And so, yeah, there are a lot of studios where we still know nothing about them, a lot of questions going on inside Sony, and yeah, I think we can just be optimistic, wait for them to show more. They've only had one showcase so far, and it was a state of play focused on third-party games. And so I think we could save our doom and gloom until after they do a first-party showcase, if they do one this year. You know, if they do a first-party showcase and they show absolutely nothing, then we can be like, okay, yeah, this is not good. But until then, I think we should remain optimistic and just be excited for the few good games that are coming out for the PlayStation 5. And, you know, just look forward to the future. And that takes us to our final company, which is Xbox. And so our lineup is Arga History Untold, which is only coming to PC. It is not coming to console, so that is a bit of a different one. Then Senua Saga Hellblade 2, which is a very anticipated game. Then Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, you know, a staple for the company. Towerborn, which is a smaller game. I'm not sure if it's indie or if it's just like a AA game, but yeah, I've seen a lot of people are having a good time being excited for that. Then we've got our two really big AAA games, that being Avowed by Obsidian, you know, this new action RPG first person in a fantasy setting, and of course Indiana Jones by Machine Games. And so yeah, Xbox right now is sort of characterized by the fact that they are releasing 4 of their games on the other consoles. So we could add to this list Hi-Fi Rush, Grounded, Pentiment, and Sea of Thieves. You know, those are also games that they are going to release this year on other platforms, but, you know, those are not new games, so I didn't include them here. But yeah, everyone is sort of thinking that Xbox is kind of going away. They're going to go third party, and you know, I'm not saying I disagree, but I think it's not going to happen as fast. I don't think they're just, you know, preparing to exit the console market just yet. I think they're definitely changing their business strategy, but I think first party games will, you know, continue to come out on just Xbox and PC, and then later we might get them on PS5 and Switch. But this lineup is not too bad. Obviously, it doesn't have a bunch of heavy hitters. You know, I mean, Xbox did buy a lot of IPs from Activision and Bethesda and all their other companies that they've acquired, and so there is a lot that could be here that is not, and also a lot that will probably come that we're waiting for. For example, Call of Duty, obviously that's now owned by Xbox, and that's going to be a huge title at the end of the year, but that's not announced yet, so I did not put that on the list, even though, yeah, it's definitely coming, but obviously that will also launch on PS5 as well. But as for the games that we have announced right now, a lot of them are pretty decent. Senua Saga is a very anticipated game. You know, it looks amazing. It's very unique. And I think a lot of people, I think pretty much anybody who has access to it is going to want to dig into that one. It's going to be a smaller game. It's not getting a physical release, but, you know, it is a shorter, just sort of like linear, story-driven, atmospheric adventure game. And, you know, a lot of people are going to like that one very much. Then, you know, Avowed, Obsidian, a new AAA action RPG from Obsidian. A lot of people are very excited for that, including me. I think I will definitely be playing that one. And of course, Indiana Jones is probably the biggest one, you know, a big licensed IP game. First person might be disappointing to some, but I think it has the potential to be good. And it's a big exclusive for Xbox and, well, for Xbox and PC. And I know it's going to be a lot of fun for Xbox fans. And so, yeah, there definitely will be more, and there could be more, and Xbox's strategy is changing, and we will have to see how these games sort of unfold. But overall, it's not terrible. It definitely could be and should be better, but they do have a lot of games announced that are very far away, like Outer Wilds 2 or Outer Worlds 2, Clockwork Revolution, Fable, Everwild. All those games have been announced, and they are, who knows how far away they are, but at least there is always, no matter how far away it is, there will be Xbox games that do exist that you can look forward to. So, yeah, in my opinion, it is the weakest of the three, but it's still not terrible. Okay, so that is what I think of the lineups that we have right now. I would like to hear you say in the comments, tell me which of these companies do you think their lineup is the strongest right now? Do you think Sony, Nintendo, or Xbox is the strongest? What do you think is going to be held in the future for these companies? What do you think the rest of 2024 is going to look like? And tell me what you're excited for each of these consoles. Do you own 1, 2, 3 of these systems? And yeah, just tell me what your thoughts are on this, because my thoughts are, pretty positive. I think we have a lot to look forward to, a lot that's on the horizon that we don't know about yet. But for right now, we've got, we've got a few things to look forward to, but I think the real surprises are going to be coming up later in the year. So, yeah, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and yeah, tell me what you think.